Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another brand new video. Today we have a little bit of a reading vlog because it is actually snowing outside and I have some books that I need to finish. So I think this video is a little bit of a nice little vibe for what's going on right now and the little situation that I am, because I have two books that I'm almost done with and I want to finish it with you guys and maybe start another book and maybe finish it on this video as well. So the first book is Iron Gold. Both of these videos I talked about in my last video where I did basically like a yearly wrap up of all the books I read in 2024. So maybe go check that out. But the first book that is on this list that I want to finish in today's video is Iron Gold. And then the next one is Hidden Pictures. I also have Project Hail Mary that I do want to finish. I've been listening to the Audible version of that one for a little bit, but I just haven't been able to finish it. I don't know. I just can't really listen to audiobooks for that long, or I rather just listen to music. I'm more of a music person, so I normally listen to music over audiobooks, but I do have the Kindle version of that book, so maybe I'll just read the rest of it. I'm not sure. I do want to finish it, but I also just picked up this Brandon Sanderson Secret Project book or whatever it's called. And this book also looks interesting. It doesn't look too long, so maybe I'll read this one instead. I think I'm gonna start with Hidden Pictures and then maybe do Iron Gold next. So let's just jump straight into it. So here we have Hidden Pictures. This is a horror thriller type book. I didn't know it was gonna be so much horror, I guess. I thought it was just gonna be mainly thriller. It's not really that much horror, but there is some type of hinting of supernatural being, I guess. This book is about a girl that just came out of rehab. She was an addict before, and now she's trying to get her life back together. And to do that, she is starting a new career as a babysitter for this kind of wealthy family. They have this kid, and he really likes to draw. He draws like stick figures and stuff, and these drawings later become a lot more sophisticated, a lot more detailed and everything. We don't really know why that is happening. We kind of have a hint about what it may be, but we're not too sure if it's that. I'm only on chapter 23 right now, so not too far. Yeah, I do know a decent amount. I do think this is where all like the twists and turns are going to come in on these last few pages. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm not exactly sure if everything that they've been hinting at is going to actually be what is going on. So I just finished Hidden Pictures, and I have to say it was all right. It wasn't that great, I guess. I mean, it was good. I did enjoy it. It was a pretty good page turner near the end of the book. I was really invested in seeing what was going to happen. But the main issue I guess I really have with thriller books is that sometimes I feel like the endings can feel a little rushed in a way, or that the plot twist is a little too exaggerated or like completely out of nowhere. This one, it didn't really suffer from exactly that, but there was like a few things that I guess came out of nowhere, and they kind of, I don't know how to describe it without really spoiling it, but they kind of make it appear without like us really knowing, but the main character knows, but I guess we don't really know it. There was just that one kind of part, but it wasn't that really huge, I guess. But overall, the book was pretty good. I'd probably maybe give it 3 stars. I did enjoy it. It wasn't my favorite book. First book I finished in 2020, 2025. So one of like the main tools I guess they use in this book are these kind of drawings. So we have these kind of unique drawings, and they look like they're from a kid and stuff, and they are drawn from the kid in the book, but they get a little more detailed later on and show a little more what's progresses the story in a very unique way. So that's like a little further down, more towards the middle of the book. So the next book I actually want to finish is Iron Gold. I have around 150ish pages left. I think I can knock it out hopefully kind of soon. I'll probably try reading it on my Kindle, and hopefully that makes it a little easier to fly through these last few pages. This book it's been alright. If you like the last 3 books, like the first 3 books because of Darrow, this book, I will say, there isn't a lot of Darrow in here. You do end up following some other characters, and they are enjoyable for the most part. They are growing on me, I guess, a little more towards the end of the book, but I did have to kind of force myself to kind of really push through the beginning portions of this book, and I kind of didn't want to go into this book learning about new characters and getting used to new characters. I was kind of picking up this book to really go back into a world where I knew I enjoyed, but I mean, it is the same world. It's just not really the same characters, I guess, or the same POVs. And that was a little different and a little challenging for me because it wasn't really what like was expecting and wanting when I picked up this book. I am enjoying the last few chapters a little more, so I'm excited to see how this book wraps up. And then I only have 2 more books left in the series to finally catch up with everything. I'm not sure when I'm going to read those books, but maybe seeing how this one goes, I can maybe decide a little bit more on when I want to pick up those next 2 books. So it is a little later in the day. I have been reading Iron Gold on the Kindle. I am almost done with it. I have like 80 pages left. I don't think you can actually see the bookmark. It's right there. It's very small. But I have like around 80 pages left. I took a little bit of a break from reading. I might try to finish the rest tonight. Have a little bit of Haagen-Dazs that I will be eating. So it is currently the next day. I read a little bit more of Iron Gold last night. I did get a little further into the book. I have this little sliver of pages left. I am gonna probably end up finishing it right now and then maybe read another book. But I'm not sure what book that is gonna be. I also slept on Hidden Pictures a little bit, and I think my rating of it is still gonna stay the same, like 3 stars. But if you guys have any other thriller recommendations, let me know down in the comments below. Preferably something where like I think this one and like other thriller books, the like main problem I have is like I feel like I get so invested into them and like they become page turners, but then they like rely too much on the twist where it seems like everything I read and invested my time in just doesn't really matter. This one it didn't like I said suffer that much from it, but it I did kind of feel a little of that same vibe. And yeah, I don't think I mentioned this either on my like kind of ending review of it, but I think the epilogue of this one I didn't also really enjoy, and I can't really get into that too much because that is kind of at the end of the book and that kind of contains a lot of spoilers, but that is something I did want to mention as well. I think I wish it ended a little differently, but I guess I can understand why it ended the way it did. And that's kind of more like the relationship between characters is what I'm talking about. But I think everything else is fine in the way that it ended. But yeah, overall, if you guys have any other thriller recommendations, preferably something where like everything you read actually kind of seems like it leads into something, and if you maybe like didn't understand something, they kind of like show you in a way and explain how everything adds up instead of just totally trying to rely on like a crazy twist at the end. Let me know down in the comments below because I do like thriller books, but I just feel like I can't really find the ones that really grab me and kind of mind blow me the way that I really wanted to. So I just recently finished Iron Gold. I completed the full book, and I think my rating is 4 stars. I think that's a pretty good rating to give it. I do really enjoy Pierce Brown's writing, and I do enjoy the Red Rising universe. But that being said, I feel like this one didn't do what the main trilogy did for me, I guess, in my reading experience. This one just felt a little weaker to me, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I did know that this was going to be a little different going into it compared to the main trilogy, but I am kind of surprised, I guess, how different it actually was. I did know about like following different point of views and different characters, but I guess I was just maybe expecting something different in that aspect as well. I don't really mind when books make you follow different point of views. Like Mistborn does do that in that trilogy. I haven't finished that trilogy, but I am going to soon. Mistborn does that, and I don't really mind it because I actually enjoy all these different point of views. In Iron Gold, though, I did find myself when it came to certain like people and the timing of it, I was kind of like, oh no, I don't want to read this right now. And sometimes that kind of hindered me from actually continuing to read. And I just put the book down and then pick it back up later. But overall, the point of views, I guess, are building into something a little bigger, and I guess we'll find something out, or I guess how it all comes together a little more in these next two books. That being said, though, I did finish that one, so that leaves me with another book that I need to pick up, and I think that one is going to be Brandon Sanderson, The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I think this book is about some wizard that gets sent back to medieval England and has to survive and has a handbook or something. I'm not sure. I don't think this is really part of the Cosmere as well. This is one of his secret projects or something like that. So I'm excited to see what this one is about. I've been enjoying Brandon Sanderson's writing in Mistborn. I'm excited to see what this one is about. It does look like quite an easy read, and it looks like it would be a little fast paced. So I did make it a little further in this Brandon Sanderson book. I am not going to say the full title every time I bring up this book because it is rather long, but it is pretty good. It seems like that this dude traveled to another dimension, but he doesn't really remember it. And there's little bits of, I guess, like pages from a handbook that kind of explain what's going on. It is interesting though. He doesn't really remember how he got there or his past. I'm only on chapter 7, not that far into it, but I am enjoying it. It is a little different than Mistborn, just because of the fact that this is in first person and Mistborn, I believe, is in third person, and it also follows different point of views. But this one only, I believe, only follows one of them. But while reading this book, I also been thinking about my feelings towards Iron Gold and my, I guess, opinion on it. And I do have to say, I am rather content on how that book played out. Especially after the trilogy, I think it is kind of the right way that this book should have played out. And there was some interesting stuff in it. I did enjoy the new characters that were kind of brought up, especially more towards the end. I do think that the first few chapters you really do have to push through, and that was kind of something that really played a factor in my opinions about the book. But yeah, overall, after really thinking about it, I did really enjoy the book a little more than I thought I kind of did. But one of the things that is pretty interesting and that I do like about Pierce Brown and the way he writes um his stories in the Red Rising series is that he's not really afraid to just kill off characters, even if they're like characters that we know, and I'm pretty sure he knows his fans like and stuff. He's not afraid to really just kill them off. And I think that is kind of a big thing that is really important in the story that he is telling, because it is a story about war and about politics and everything like that. And there will be losses in situations like this and in a world like this. And I think just like the fact that he's able to really get rid of these characters without hesitation almost really shows that how like kind of deep and dark this world really is, and how serious this kind of situation is. And it brings a little bit of realism to it, and it makes kind of the reading experience more interesting and exciting, because you really don't know who's gonna live, who's gonna survive, and like what's really gonna happen.
One eternity later.
So it is a few days later, and I just finished reading Brandon Sanderson's The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England, and I do have to say I did have a little bit of higher expectations for this book, especially coming from Brandon Sanderson. I don't think this book is horrible, but I did have a little bit higher expectations coming from Brandon Sanderson, and this book is one of his secret projects, so it's not part of the Cosmere. It's actually one of his takes on like a sci-fi humorous type of book, and I could see what he was trying to do here. I think at the end he did say he was inspired a little bit by Project Hail Mary, which I will get into maybe in a little bit, but I do want to talk about this one at first. So it is kind of like a white room trope, I believe it's called, where like the main character wakes up and they don't know where they are, or how they got there. And that's very similar to Project Hail Mary, and I'm pretty sure That's what he references on to how he got inspired by like starting this book. And I think that might also play a factor into why I didn't enjoy this book too much, because I actually just finished listening to the Project Hail Mary audiobook, and that book was very good. I really recommend that book, and I don't think I can praise that book quite enough. If I could give it 6 stars, I would. That book is really good, but this one, it's kind of similar to that in like the trope wise, but the execution of it is pretty different. And I don't know, it kind of seemed like I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't first person, but it felt more third person than Mistborn in a way. Like I felt like I was watching it from an outside perspective, even though it was first person. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but if I had to rate the book, I'd probably give it 3 stars, which I know is kind of low, but I know this year I said I wanted to be a little more harsh with my ratings and a little more honest to myself and the reviews about um what I feel about it and my reviews about it. But yeah, I'd probably give it 3 stars, which I really wish it was a little higher, especially from Brandon Sanderson. But I really like the cover. Maybe I'd give it extra star for that. I'm just kidding though. But yeah, I wanted to give it a little higher, but I just can't really convince myself that it is a higher rating than 3 stars. That being said though, I'd probably give Hidden Pictures 2 stars just because I want to be a little more honest with my reviews and my ratings. So I do think Hidden Pictures was a little worse than this one, but I don't think this one was as good as Iron Gold in a way. So Iron Gold is 4 stars, this one is 3, and then Hidden Pictures is 2. I think that can make a little more sense to me. And I also did find out that Pierce Brown is releasing Red God, I believe it's called, sometime maybe hopefully this year or next year, early next year. So I do have to catch up with that series. I only have 2 books left. But yeah, maybe I'll dive back into that world of Red Rising pretty soon. Hopefully before Red God comes out, I can have caught up. I mean, that's the plan. But I know that Legendborn, the 3rd book, is coming out, and that is a series that I want to read. My goal kind of this year as well is to catch up on series so I can get excited for new releases, because Wind and Truth just came out and that was a pretty big drop, and I see it in Barnes and Nobles and all these stores, and I wish I had that feeling of like being there on release time and caught up with everything. I know that Forest Wing, the 3rd book, just came out, so a lot of people are hyped about that one as well. I'm not really caught up with any books except like The Will of the Many, but that's only 1 book. So hopefully I can catch up to other series as well so I can get hyped for these drops. Back to what I was saying about Project Hail Mary a little earlier, that book was really good. The audible version of it is really excellent. The narrator that does it is really great. I've been listening to it for quite a bit, but I just haven't been able to push myself to listen to like the rest of it. But I'm really glad I did. I put on like 1.25 speed and I just kind of breezed through it, and it was like super interesting at the end and everything. And the way it ended, I don't know, I kind of didn't wish it ended, just because I felt like I was saying like bye to friends, and like I know like I'll never really be able to see them again, and I know that like I'll never get that first chance of listening to it again, or that first time listening to it, and that experience. But yeah, I would highly recommend you guys to listen to it. Or if you don't want to listen to it, maybe pick up the book. The book is probably just as great just reading it, but the audible version of it was really good. I'm not really a fan of audiobooks. I just can't really listen to audiobooks, mostly because I just can't really find a good like narrator that I really enjoy. But the one that did Project Hail Mary, he was really good, and the different voices he did, and like just everything about it was really good. So if you guys get the chance, I would highly recommend listening to the audiobook of it. I'm not really a fan of audiobooks, but that is one that I can highly recommend. And yeah, if I listened to it last year, it'd probably be one of my top favorite books from last year, but I did finish it this year, so it's going to be going on my chart for this year. And I have to say it is probably one of my favorite books this year that I've read. I know that people think that listening to audiobooks isn't really reading, but I mean, at the end of the day, consume the books the way you want to consume it. And I really enjoyed it though. Nonetheless, though, I would highly recommend it. Listen to the audio version if you want. Read the book. I don't know. Either way, it's really good. It's like a science fiction where a dude wakes up basically in space. He doesn't know where he is or how he got there, but he figures it kind of out as we go along with him. It's not very linear. There's like some like flashbacks and stuff like that as well. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'd highly recommend it. The science in it as well is pretty good, If you guys have a little bit of interest in science and stuff like that, the science is pretty good. And if you guys do know about science, you would probably appreciate it a little more, because I think the effort that they put into like the science and making it realistic and everything like that and correct is pretty good and interesting. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the relationships in it and the characters in it. I don't want to give too much away. I just want to say that I highly recommend it. Brandon Sanderson liked it. I think that was why he kind of wrote this one as well. He said something at the end of this book about Project Hail Mary. I think he also did like a video review about it as well. But yeah, Project Hail Mary is really great. Probably the best book that I listened to or read or whatever in this video. But yeah, there's nothing much more to say. These are the books that I want to finish before starting off the year really. And yeah, I'm excited to see what books I read this year. I have a pretty long TBR. Let me know what other books you guys recommend, or what other series and stuff like that you guys recommend. And let me know what you guys are reading to start off the year as well. I'll see you guys on the next video. If you guys did enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button, smack that subscribe button as well. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to stay fresh.